All right, yeah, let's take a few more calls. We have another theist on the line. I think we've had conversations with a slave of Christ. Wants to talk about if there's a God, why is there so much evil? Pronouns are he, him. What is going on?
I could probably answer that question.
Can I just call you like sock or something? I think I said that last time. I don't know if I'm going to say slave of Christ.
Christ, I don't know. Can I call you of? I'm sorry.
Yeah. How's it going, bud?
How are you guys?
I'm okay.
What you got for us?
So last time, Forrest Balkai and JMike were on the Atheist Experience, and
man, you're gonna have to get off. You're gonna have to get away from the road.
Yeah, please. That's just a safety thing, but also the audio too.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot have somebody on the show that's risking danger. Can you tell me that you are away from the road? Because I'm gonna hang up on you if I'm not gonna get that affirmation.
Sorry, I'm not driving or anything. I'm just like in a park. Okay. So the park is kind of like near to the road.
Okay. All right. If the noise becomes distracting, I'm gonna have to either mute you or remove you. I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
I see. So I have a feeling that this is gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you were asking one question. If there's like a God, why did he create hell to human beings, and why are there like evil things? And
I have an answer to that as a non-believer, because I don't normally ask that question.
That wasn't even my question. I don't think.
Yeah.
My question was why? Well, you go ahead, Ray.
Well, I think you're probably going to go into the only time I bring that up is when somebody says that their God is all good, right, or all loving or something. It's
there we go.
But yeah, like why? If there's a God, why is there so much evil? Because God's a dick. He's real. He just also is a dick. Or there's also the fun one that I love, which is God is inept. I really like that one. God is real and does actually want to do good things, but is essentially a 1-year-old without the ability to control anything and just screws everything up constantly, So like, I mean, I have answers to both of those. I still don't believe because I don't think that is, worth it. But I mean, like I can answer that question. So.
Well, yeah, let me like if you talk to me on the last one, what I probably expressed to you, I don't know if it is, but the hell thing it wouldn't be something I would have mentioned. I don't think. I would have asked you, do you think God is infallible? Do you think that he can fail with respect to his intentions or not?
No, because I think everything that happens in the world is part of God's plan. So everything is like predetermined by God to happen.
Well, then there's
so nothing happens outside of God's will. That's why we don't have free will when we are on the earth.
Great. So does God intend for there to be evil or sin in the world?
Of course, because if there's no evil,
he does intend for it.
Why would he?
I mean,
I'm sorry.
You said he does intend for it.
Of course, because everything that is created by God.
And is he an all good being and a rational agent, a rational being?
No, I don't think that, because I think there's like a.
So you believe in an irrational God that creates evil? That's the God that you believe in right now?
If
what is going on?
Yeah. Seriously, Sock, if that's really where you're coming to on this, you have to recognize that just from the jump, like how weak that is, right? Like you can see why JMike and I are getting more and more confused with these answers, because these are basic questions that almost exclusively theists answer in the opposite, because when you answer in the way that you have, it just kind of makes your whole system look pretty ridiculous on the face.
There's no evil in his system, clearly, because if God intends for evil and has a reason, prevailing reasons to allow evil, right, and it serves for like the greater good, then there's no evil in your view, right? Because what sense does it say to be like, this evil thing leaded to the greater good? It makes no sense, right?
Yeah, because without that evil, we wouldn't have gotten to the greater good, which God purposefully put there, and because he's infallible, right? Like he always does the thing, so yeah, how is there ever any badness? How is there ever any evil in that view?
Yeah, so explain to us how you don't either have a contradiction or no evil in your view, because it's either the case that God permits the impermissible, which is a contradiction, or it's the case that there really isn't anything impermissible. Those are just good things. Which one is it?
Well, what I think is, I don't say that everything that he does is like good or perfect or anything. The most that I'm convinced of is like election. So God elects a certain people to show mercy and grace, and God creates certain people, to be damned and stuff.
Okay, well, so if you don't think God is all good and he's evil, then you don't, there's not a problem of evil on the view, because if you just don't think, if you think God, like Rarity said, if you think he's a dick, there's not a problem. Why would there be a problem of any evil? Because
he's a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course there's bad stuff. He's kind of a bad guy. Like, sometimes he does some good things, don't get me wrong, but because he's also a bad guy, like, you're not surprised when the villain, double crosses somebody. You're just like, yeah, that's what we would expect based on his character.
Yeah. So do you take commands from the villain? Is that your view? Your view is that you take commands from the mob boss? Is that really what you're telling us? Just openly?
No, I do believe that God is all good to his chosen people. So
now you're contradicting yourself.
People.
Now you're contradicting yourself.
Because, like, I think that a certain people are like created to destruction, and certain people are created to see God's love and mercy and stuff.
Yeah, but so when you say the word destruction, Sock, are you thinking of that in kind of a negative connotation? Like, do you see destruction as being a positive, beneficial thing? Or do you see it as being like a not so good thing? In that view there, okay, where you've got the elect, and then you've got those damned to hell people, do you think that one of those boats is better than the other? Because if you do, I'll go ahead and tell you what JMike was saying earlier, which is you're holding a contradictory stance, because you couldn't possibly believe that God had purposefully created the people for the bad stuff so that there is an overall good, right? It doesn't make sense.
What ought not be done, Secular, is what ought be done is the thing that ought not be.
That ought not be, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Do you see where we're coming from here?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand. I totally understand, but I don't totally agree.
So okay, so how do you resolve? We identified a contradiction. So how do you resolve it?
Right.
How I resolve it is, like, I think that humanity is not good in general. So the logical,
but we would have to be under your view. That's what we're saying, is that it's an even deeper issue with the stances that you just laid out, Sock. It's not just a matter of whether or not human beings themselves are kind of dicks as well. Like, that isn't the problem. It's that in your worldview, potentially, either the dickish behavior just doesn't exist at all, or somehow God is like incapable of not doing the right thing, but also constantly does the wrong thing. Like, do you see what we're saying?
He's not perfect, but does imperfect things.
Right. It's not just as simple as like, oh, people are fallen, because none of it, it's a deeper issue than that. There's something more core to the belief that you've laid out that has the problem.
So what I would try to see is like, there's JMike, right? So he's good to some people. He gives out gifts. He's generally compassionate towards others. But let's say that he
sound like Santa Claus
tortures people in the basement, right? He tortures other people who at the basement. So you're the same guy. So if I'm receiving only positive things, I'll probably say that JMike is good because I've seen your goodness. But those people who are at
so wait, hold on. So God has to, wait, I'm so confused. All God has to do is successfully reveal to you the good stuff, but behind closed doors, he can just be this dick, and you're gonna think he's an all good. I don't. This makes no sense to me. I don't get this.
And again, you're still not addressing the core. You're still not addressing the core thing that JMike had pointed out a minute ago. And I think the reason that you might be struggling with this is because you've already gone through the acceptance process, the internalization of saying, well, God has to exist. There are certain attributes about God that I am freaking solid confident on. And so now all of this other stuff that is around me, I have to figure out how that fits back into this original viewpoint. Because the core of the issue is something that is just it is so ingrained into your belief system here, Sock, that all of these other little things don't matter. Like what you just said about like that example of like JMike doing good things in one instance and bad things in the other and only seeing the good. That has absolutely nothing to do with the problem
really
on your view, man. Like it just doesn't. Like, is it interesting? Sure, fine, whatever. Is it kind of confusing to both of us? Yes, absolutely. We both raised our eyebrows, but it doesn't address the problem.
Which I'm actually confused. Like, do you think God's an all good God or not? Yes or no? Let's just be clear and concise, because you've said like multiple things twice. Like you came in free will, now elect. So now I'm like really confused. Like you've made like a bowl of contradictionos for breakfast or something. I just don't really get it.
Now made with real fallacies.
Sorry. So like getting back to the thought experiment, what I'm saying is like,
well, we can do that, but like that's kind of like, yeah. So we give you a chance. I asked the question. Do you remember what the question was?
God is all. Okay.
Yeah, you're still going. Yeah, I asked you a question.
God is all good.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Shh.
Okay.
I asked you a question. Do you remember what the question was?
Yes, you said that is God is all good or not.
I was asking you. Yeah. And then you proceeded to not answer me. So what is the answer?
God is all good if you are chosen. And he's not all good if you're not chosen. That's the direct answer.
Okay, so he is both all good. So wait, hold on. Right before the show, I was talking about a spiritualist who said that there's sponges that are 100% silicon. It's like, it's just that would just be silicon, right? It wouldn't be a sponge. It'd be just silicon. And you're saying it's both the case that he's 100% good and both the case that he's not 100% good. You do realize that now we have just stacked pancakes of contradictions at this point, right?
Yeah. It's literally,
I mean,
yeah, Sock, it's the issue is like back to that, example you were using with JMike, right? It's not that JMike actually is all good in that example. It's that to the particular moral agent that JMike is engaging in good behavior with, that person feels as if JMike is, right? JMike appears to be, but he is not in that scenario all good, because if so, he can't ever do any of the bad. And if you have something, a moral agent, a consciousness that is 100% goodness, but somehow also like 6% bad, you see, it just doesn't, like the cup has overflowed and we are now pouring water onto the ground. Does that, you see where the issue kind of lies?
You're on an epistemology about how they know. Not the ontology.
But you're still not like convincing me though. Like you're still not.
I'm not convincing you that you've literally made a contradiction by saying that God permits the impermissible, or God is 100% good and 100% bad. Like,
yeah, this is. Hold on. Do you agree that if your view is contradictory, do you agree that if your view is contradictory, that it's false? Do you agree with that? Like if somebody, yeah, great. So if we've identified several contradictions in the view and you're not convinced, are you not convinced that we've identified the contradiction? Because I'd be happy to identify them for you again.
What I don't agree with is like it's a contradiction, because again here I'm trying to give out like a scenario where he loves a certain people and he hates a certain people.
Then he's not all good.
It's like what.
You can't say, this is why it's confusing for me in Rarity, and why we're like, when on one side we're thinking you're saying something, so we're applying objections there. Then you lean this way and we're like, okay, I think he's going that way, so we're applying objections here. And it's getting confusing for all of us, even presumably the viewers, right?
Yeah, has to be.
So if it's either the case that he's all good or not, now it seems like you're on the disjunct that he's not all good, right? If that's the case, then that goes back to what Secular had said. He's just a dick. If you have a God that just is a dick and he's a dick for reasons that he has and he wants to be a dick, then okay, that explains why there's evil in your view. Why would it be puzzling that there's a mafia boss who wants to like kill its creation or do something like evil? Why would we be like, oh, okay, well, like, oh, that's evil. Like, or that's like, oh, like, how did the evil get here? Oh, well, probably because of the evil dick.
Right. You flat out said that God specifically makes people that are going to have all the bad stuff, the damned, the you know, the destruction, all of that stuff. Like that's your answer. If God's real, why is there evil? Well, because he creates people for the bad stuff. Like it's not.
We're gonna have to move on to other callers because
I'm not sure where to go.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I would just go back over that call and listen to it. I'm gonna prevent you from stacking exponential contradictions to your view. I'm gonna protect you.